Hello, everybody. Can you all hear us clearly? This session is going to be in English, so if you have your apps set up, we have time. Great to be here. Great to be surrounded by fantastic professionals. We have Shelley Pursell. She leads marketing for Hubspot across Latin America. We have Nataliya Yarovinska from Chernihiv, Ukraine, which is a great pleasure to have her here. She's the Chief Commercial Officer at SendPulse. And we have Flavio Reis from Renner, from Lojas Renner. Great to have you here. So we're going to talk about Agentic AI. Before we take off, let me set some common ground here for us and for the audience. Agentic AI means software that doesn't just answer questions. It takes actions, makes decisions, and runs tasks on its own. So the question we're here to answer today is it actually working in marketing? So I'm going to start off with Shelley. What's the gap between what's being sold as agentic AI and what's actually happening inside companies right now?
I think it's a really interesting question because if we started to think about agentic AI 2 years ago, we talked a lot about the potential, about how agents were going to solve all of our needs. You know, marketers weren't going to have to do a lot of the work, etc. Today, what we're actually seeing is we're at crosshairs where there's a lot of companies that are saying, wait a second, I started to use and build all of these agents to do work for me, but it's not giving me the results that I was looking for. And so what we're seeing is a lot of companies started to acquire all of these different AI tools, build all of these different agents, but didn't necessarily see the part of the data and building from the beginning. What are you trying to solve for? What's the problem you're trying to solve for? Do you have the data structure in place so that the agents can actually give the responses to a satisfactory level to all of the people that are asking those questions or having the interaction with the agents? And so right now we're seeing a moment where there's a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, a lot of potential for agents, but we still need to start from the ground to make sure everything's ready to be able to leverage the agents in the best way.
Nataliya, SendPulse serves businesses across 180 countries, which is a lot. Does the hype match what your customers are actually doing with AI?
I think that hype is used a lot and it's justified because after seeing all the media coming to conferences, our customers come to us and say, so where do I put the link to my website and add one Google Doc so then the agent is talking on my behalf on WhatsApp? So they expect this very easy transition to autonomy that you give a little bit of instructions and then AI agent is talking to your customers on WhatsApp, selling, consulting, and obviously everyone who works with AI closely knows that that's not the case. As Shelley said, you need data. So right now, agents are great. I mean, AI is an incredible tool that is great at analyzing data, at gathering data, at preparing communications for any scale, basically. But it is more of a overqualified intern. So it is amazing. It can do great things. But the decision, at least for now, needs to stay with the human. So a lot in the agentic age, again now, because it's developing very rapidly, but now a lot depends on the input you give. So you're relying on your agent, but first your agent relies on you. And second, of course, I would call it like a little bit of babysitting. So your agents need babysitting and daily control to make sure that they are acting the way you expect them to act.
Amazing. We need to babysit our agents. We definitely do. Flavio, Nataliya mentioned scale. At Renner scale, technical challenges, governance, cost control. what's the reality check you'd give someone who thinks AI solves everything quickly?
So it's a very good point, Fabricio, because when you see all the news, it's like a magical pill, no? That you take the agent or the AI, you put in your company, and everything starts to run alone, smoothly, and cheaper. And it's not the reality right now. So in our case, what we are seeing that when you have the knowledge of the business, you must choose where you can generate value applying AI, Agentic AI, or anything that you can right now saying as the AI generation regarding the challenge that you must address or that you cannot address before. So in our case, we are a fashion brand. And we have a lot of challenges that before the AI, we cannot solve. And we are putting focus on those cases to try to deliver more outcomes to the company and to the customer. When you look with this idea that you can have an agent running in your company, in my opinion, we are far away from that right now. So you must identify the process, you must evaluate the process. Most of the time, we must rethink the process, then you can create, for example, an agent in order to improve that process. But I totally agree with Nataliya. Always with the human in the loop, at least for, in my opinion, in the coming years, with the human in the loop. So we are seeing that there is a lot of trends, a lot of hype on the market, but looking at your business and understand your process, it's where the real matter to have the difference between a good use case or just a POC that it's that not deliver value.
Amazing. And could you give us one concrete example where Agentic AI generating real value today, something that wasn't possible 2 years ago, for instance?
Yeah, we have a few examples, but I think I can share one here. As in the fashion, you have a great challenge because you must generate a lot of content because our product is driven by desire. So your customer needs to see your product and must desire your product. No, so it's not just give some description of the product or just launch the product. You must have a lot of content. And in our case, we are a fashion brand that we create thousands of products every year. So it's hard to communicate this. And before the AI, all of our content were generated by photo shooting with live models that take many days. So if, for example, I have your outfit here, I must put in a model like you and shoot the photo. And after that, many days after that, I can put this in off-site campaigns and in my channels, so digital channels or even in the physical store. But if this blazer is very good, very nice, and sells out quickly, I need to reshoot your outfit with a different blazer or with a different apparel in order to have the content, the real content that the customer will desire and will convert. It's really hard to manage this in a fashion brand when you have thousands of products every cycle, every season be launching. So right now, of course, we still have live models. We still have real photos with real people, but I can change your outfit according to what is performing better on the campaigns or in the digital channels or according to my stock availability in seconds or minutes, not more in days. And very specifically in one category that is the kids and babies category. Every father or mother or parent here knows that it's very hard to take a good photo of a baby or of children in general. And in our case, what we are doing before the AI, we are using most of the products with like still photos, just the product on a hanger or folded, just the product. And right now, we are creating all the content for the kids and baby category with AI in a very real or realistic way of course, we say that it's AI content generated. We are all the time we say that, but we create content that real engage the customer. When you're looking for a apparel for your son or your daughter, you see a real girl or a real boy, a real baby wearing that apparel, and it's amazing. In our case, on this specific use case, we increased more than 60% of the conversion of the products.
Wow.
So so as I said, in our case, it's changed the way that we run a very important process in our business, applying AI and Agentic, but to change the outcomes for the business, not just the hype.
Yeah. It was probably unthinkable 2 years ago. I mean,
It was impossible. It was impossible.
amazing. And Shelley, same question. Is HubSpot seeing patterns across companies? The use cases that keep working versus the ones that keep failing?
Yeah, so I think, we're a B2B company. All of our customers are selling a lot to their customers. And we've seen companies start to use AI in everything that they do. One part that we've seen that's working really, really well is our prospecting agent. So this is an agent that companies can use to help drive new leads for the sales team. So all of the marketers, this is something that we dream of because we're always challenged to find how we can drive more qualified leads. And so the companies that are using our prospecting agent are seeing their leads increase by 76%, which is a massive amount. And this is taking data from intent signals. So, when someone takes specific actions that are deemed valuable within the sales process for a company, they're looking at options of, any CRM data, even insights like when someone has a job title change on their LinkedIn profile. When you can take all of this information, you start to understand when it's a good opportunity to reach out to a prospect. So instead of sending an email when someone has showed no intention or no interest, you're sending an email when you actually see a reason and you have an opportunity to start a conversation. And simply by making those types of change and using AI to support not only sort of the data side of figuring out when that moment is, but then to create a personalized outreach, that's when you start to see the real value of how agents can help in your day-to-day business. And that's where our customers are starting to see great insights and ways to start to scale their activities.
Interesting. And Nataliya, same question. One example from your customers where AI is actually doing the work, not just assisting it.
Yeah, I think that AI is working in areas where it can really make a difference and where there is a big gap. So if AI is working, it means that people put in the effort, spend time and energy and money to make it work. So it's not magic. So it would be, because we are also in the marketing automation space, the space would be the same as Shelley said, the leads. But for our customers, I would say that the biggest use case is probably trying to convert those who clicked on the ad. So basically, I think it's every marketer's nightmare when you spend money on the social media campaign, you pay for the ads, you don't get leads, or you get leads, but they do not convert. So that's the real challenge. That's where the money are wasted most of the time. So that's why our customers are using the AI to basically start up the conversation in WhatsApp or on Instagram right after the click. So it's more interactive than a form. It's more engaging, and the person would be also talking in a more natural style. And if they are actually interested, then you would get more information for the sales team who will come later during the day, or they will come to work next day. So they will have more information how to talk to this person, exactly the personalization that is almost lacking most of the time. And another thing, if the company is selling digital products or has some simple products that you can sell online, basically the AI in the conversation on WhatsApp or Instagram can even lead to the purchase without human interaction. It's good for like the small digital products. And obviously, what is good here is that it can be controlled. So again, AI is not 100% accurate when you give it very broad spectrum, but where you have like very narrow scripts, where you know exactly what this person clicked on and what they are interested in, you can basically say that this is a narrow script that I want you to stick to. If you are not sure, if you are deviating, if the question is unclear in any little detail, just stop, hand over to the human. So this is the part that where the money is lost often, and also this is the part where you can install control easily and make sure that AI doesn't go rogue.
We're going to continue on this topic. You work with small businesses in markets where every budget decision is tight. Brazil, Ukraine, across LATAM. What's the realistic entry point for a small business starting with agentic AI today?
I think that the difference between enterprise rollouts, I've been part of multi-year enterprise rollouts for software, so I know the challenges. And on the other hand, when you have a smaller business, even a medium business, you don't have this challenge that you need to build capability for years. You can use what is available right now, and basically many companies decide today what they're going to launch next month. So that's why I think that small, medium companies have the advantage of not worrying too much about what comes next, but looking at what can be controlled and used effectively today. And that's where I think that the role of services like SendPulse, SaaS, Hubspot service also is a service that you can bring AI to the customers in their natural setting where they're used to work. And basically, they don't have to become prompt engineers. Not every owner of the business needs to be a prompt engineer. They can continue using the tools they're used to with controlled AI inserted there.
Still on this topic, Flavio, for large corporations, the advice is prepare now, deploy over the years. Are companies that haven't started already behind?
Depends. So, in my opinion, depends a lot. Because if you are not applying in what is your core business, yes, you are behind. Because probably someone, your competitor, is doing that. But right now, there is a lot of noise on the market. So it's the idea that you must apply AI and you must create thousands of agents for everything. So a vacation automatic answer agent, you must create it. But it's not necessary. You have this feature on Outlook or in Google Mail and everything. So the point here is that if you are not looking your business, identify where you can really, where really matter to review the process and create agents or applying AI on that, probably you are behind your competitor and probably you are behind someone that could appear in the next months and take your customer. So yes, but in my opinion, you must put your focus on what or where really matter to your business, not for everything.
Amazing. And Shelley, I think this is the $1 million question. Is the gap between large and small businesses getting wider or tighter? And does it matter?
Yeah, so I think the gap between, historically, when you look at large businesses that have a lot more budget, a lot more team, a lot more resources in general to act quickly, historically, that's always been an advantage. Today, we see an opportunity for smaller businesses or businesses that don't have the same amount of resources to start to compete with those larger businesses. The large businesses typically have a tech stack that is very complex. The data structure is not often super organized, and so it's hard to be able to take a new AI tool that you can implement immediately and start seeing the return on investment. So I think, as Nataliya mentioned, we need to see results much faster than ever before. And smaller businesses can leverage that they don't have this complex tech stack that they have to confront. and to start to really take tools within AI that can help do specific actions, start to solve specific problems, and start to see results immediately. And I think that really allows smaller businesses to start to compete in a new and innovative way with larger businesses that probably are investing more in AI, but they have a lot more internal solutions to figure out before you can start seeing that return. And so we're in a moment where, act now and you'll probably start seeing returns much quicker.
Amazing. We are sharp on time, so we have time for the rounds of takeaways. And Flavio, one takeaway for the audience from Renner.
So in our case, identify where really matter to your business and measure the results. Because AI, I agree that you don't need anymore to have a great budget, but it's not cheap. So you must put your money on the right place. So look where change your business and put the money there, but look at the results, measure.
Measure the results.
Measure the results.
And Shelley?
Yeah, going along with Flavio's comment, I would say AI is only as good as the data that you're training it on. And so make sure you have a really strong data structure to start, and then look for those tools to solve specific problems so you can start to see that return on your investment.
Nataliya?
Yes, building on what everyone said, just wanted to add that hype or no hype, basically AI is here, it's not going anywhere, and it's ridiculously good at some things. So I think that even if there is no way to apply AI for your organization in general, or maybe it's too expensive, or you don't have the resources, I think that we definitely any marketeer needs to use AI and learn AI and try to utilize it to best possible way, just to prepare for the future, basically, not to be left behind.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. Muito obrigado. Thank you. Duży dziękuję. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you all for your time and for your patience. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you.